And especially because I see so many entrepreneurs, C-level executives, founders, and they're amazing, like literally amazing at what they do. However, there's a bit of a disparity when it comes to how they show up for themselves professionally versus how they show up for themselves personally. And this gap, even though it might be something that they can manage very well early on, as businesses scale, we realize, it's becoming even a bigger gap because we don't have any intentional actions or just really rituals or lifestyle habits to support that growth, especially for us personally. And so it's a matter of looking at, what's real for me? Like what's actually realistic? What's minimum amount of effective dose that I need to keep myself in my thrive state versus getting to that sort of, oh my gosh, I'm barely surviving. And it really just takes intentional focus and don't overcomplicate it. Like literally, I see so many people looking at these morning rituals and it's like, I got to do 12 things before 7 a.m. or else I'm a failure. And I'm like, no, you're not. The fact that you do one of those 12 things in the morning already sets you ahead of everybody else, And so again, it's building into our lifestyle, what's real and what's realistic, but also what's going to help us sustain and attain, not refrain us from getting there. And as you can tell, I like a lot of alliteration. So anyways.
I don't hear many people talk about Joe Dispenza. So can we go into what is real?
Yeah, right.
When you're going to give me a little Joe Dispenza. I know I talk too much sometimes. My grandmother, who's 92 this month, is the one that brought me Joe Dispenza.
What?
About 5 years ago.
How did that happen? Like, how did she come to Joe Dispenza?
She's so cool.
Very.
She loves to read about mind, body, you name it. And so she's always learning. I think that's why she's alive, thriving at 92.
I mean, she's one of the blue zones, right? Like I just think about those people that are thriving into their hundreds
But she lives in Nebraska.
Well, might not be a blue zone, but her lifestyle habits, it sounds like might be very blue zone-ish though.
Yes. And she's been a widow for a long time and she just didn't let that stop her. So what do you think about the energy of Joe?
Well, I know he's not necessarily for everybody, but that can be said about anybody, right? Like any of these sort of thought leaders. But a lot of what he speaks to is very science founded. He's either been involved or been at least a privy to a lot of these amazing studies, especially around the mind-body connection. And that's what brought me in originally, was really just a lot of the scientific knowledge and statistics and data that he would often share to correlate to why certain things are happening. And what I mean by that is like, even his style of meditation is very specific.
And he healed himself out of a...
Yes. And again, I'm not going to make claims like that. And
no,
of course he does with a grain of salt, because I mean, you got to, depending on what market you're in, it's a no-no to make some of those claims. But he's
disclosure.
got
We are not saying that, nothing's